he has kindly agreed to share some of his wisdom, experiences, and reflections with all of us. Let us warmly welcome SriGaurahari Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So I warmly welcome you all to this very wonderful youth program. And today is going to be the first session. And so today I'll be talking about how we're going to control the mind. So we're going to start with some prayers. And these are some prayers that are praying to our previous teachers, so that we can actually implement all their knowledge. So if you can actually see and read off, you can say it with me. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurahari Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. So now I'll be singing the Mahamantra, and I urge all of you all to say it along with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all, and once again, I warmly welcome you for all coming here on a busy Saturday. And I hope you really enjoyed this session. So, I'd like to begin with a story so that we can actually get into this topic. So, there are two people in the story. There's one person's name that is Ravi, and another person's name is Raju. So, this person named Raju used to have a convenience store. And one particular day, this man named Ravi decided to go to Raju's convenience store. And in that one day, he was feeling very sad. Raju, who was the convenience store person. So he's feeling very sad, and he's wearing a black shirt. And usually in certain customs in India, when there's something inauspicious or somebody's died, they're wearing like a black shirt. So this person, Ravi, comes into the store, and he sees this person, Raju, and he's like, "What's the matter, Raju? What's going on?" Then he says, "Do you not know what happened?" And he said, "No, I don't know what happened." Then he's like, "Sargo Singh has died." Like, who? Sargo Singh? That's what he thought in his head. But he didn't want to say that out loud. So then he's like, "Really? Sargo Singh has died?" And he couldn't believe it. So then he went with that, and he also decided to put on this black shirt. So he walked out of the store, and at that point, he found this like soldier roaming around. And the soldier came to him, and he was like, "Why are you wearing a black shirt? Is there something inauspicious? What has happened?" And Ravi's like, "You don't know? Do you actually not know what has gone?" So he's like, "No, I have no idea." Then he's like, "The Sargo Singh has died. The Sargo Singh." He's like, "What? Sargo Singh has died? No way." So then he was very surprised, and then he also put on this black shirt. So just like that, now there's 3 people with the black shirt. So then this soldier, he has to go for practice later. So in front of the commander, where all the soldiers are lined up, then the commander looks at all the people and they're like, why are all these guys wearing a uniform and you're wearing some black shirt? Then he's like, Commander, oh commander, do you not know what has happened? Then the commander's like, no, what has happened? And he asks the soldier, and the soldier's like, really, you don't know? And he's like, no. Then he's like, Sargo Singh has died. And then the commander was like, he was so stunned, like he had no idea who this guy was. So then he was like, oh my God, now everybody should wear this black shirt. So he made all his soldiers wear a black shirt, and he also wore a black shirt. So then the king was looking at all these people. All these guys have a bunch of black shirts on, and like, he's the king. He wants to know what's going on. So he goes to this commander, and he asks the commander, what is going on? And he's like, do you not know what is gone? He said, you have no idea? He said, Sargo Singh died. And the king was like, what? This is terrible. We need to create a national holiday. Everybody needs to wear a black shirt. This is such an important event. So then, as he was about to make an announcement, the queen comes, and the queen approaches the king. And so the queen asks the king, why are you so sad? What's happened? And he's like, oh queen, do you not know what has gone in the kingdom? You don't know what happened? He's like, no, nobody told me. And he's like, Sargo Singh died. The queen was like, what? What is happening? And she asked the most important question. Do you guys know what this most important question is? What do you think it is?
Who is the Sargo Singh guy?
Yes, correct. She's like, who is this Sargo Singh? The king was like, what? You don't know who this guy is? He's like, I also don't know who he is. So then they all get so confused. And they're like, where did you learn this from? She goes to this. So then the king was like, I heard it from this commander. So the king goes and walks to this commander. And he asks commander, who is Sargo Singh? Who is this person you kept talking about? And the commander's like, you're the king. I thought you would know. I don't know who Sargo Singh either. So then, after the commander knew that it was a soldier that told him. So then the king and the commander, they all walked together and went to this soldier, and they asked the same question that they asked everyone else. Who is Sargo Singh? And then the soldier was like, you guys don't know? Why are you guys asking me? I also don't know. So then all of them decided to go to one of the sources, which was Ravi, who met Raju in the beginning. So Ravi was the one in the beginning who met the soldiers. So they all walked to Ravi, and they asked him the same question again. Who is Sargo Singh? Then Ravi was like, I saw you all guys wearing black shirts. You guys don't know who Sargo Singh? And he said, no, I don't know who Sargo Singh either. Now all of them, they all gathered together and go to this corner store, because Ravi told where he got this information from. So they all went to Raju, and Raju's looking, he's like, why is the king coming to my store? What is the whole, armies here? Like, what's going on? And they all asked him, who is Sargo Singh? He's like, what? You guys don't know? He's my donkey! He's my beloved donkey that would help me with bringing all this stuff to the store. And everyone was stunned. He said, what? He's your donkey? I can't believe this. We all distrusted you, and they all thought that somebody important has died. So we can see in this story how each person was following each other blindly, and nobody was actually asking the important question of, who is this Sargo Singh? Because in the end, it was just a donkey. It wasn't even like a person. And each of them thought, wow, maybe everyone else knows. So they're all following each person. So in psychology, there's the term where it's people always follow what other people do. That's just the nature of the mind. The mind always follows the popular opinion. It doesn't really know what is correct and what's wrong. So what we should do is that we should always be like the queen and ask what are the most important questions to see if what we're doing is correct or what we're doing is wrong. We should not just blindly trust the mind or blindly trust random people. So that was the starter. So now I'll go into the verse that really shows the nature of the mind. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmanatmana jitaha anatmanasya shatrutve vartate itmaiva shatruva. Can anyone read the English? Does anyone want to? You can read.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
So in this verse, it really shows how there's two different parts to the mind, how it can act in two different ways. The mind can be the greatest friend to someone, but mostly it's actually the greatest enemy. That's what we'll show in the later slides. Because the mind, its job, it's like, it only listens to what you put into it. So sometimes it can also be very dangerous to listen to your mind. And so now we'll move on to the next. So does anyone know how many bodies that we have? What do you think?
2.
Close? Anyone want to guess? 3? Hey, you're spot on. We have 3 bodies. So the first body that we have is the gross body. The gross body is basically what we see. It's the external body that is basically like all your skin, your organs, everything that you're able to see. And this is made out of the 5 elements. Your earth, water, fire, air, ether.
I thought there was 92 natural elements.
It's not elements. All the elements are made out of these 5. That's like the base. The primary 5 elements. And so after this, there is the subtle body, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. And this is the subtle body. You can't really see it, but we know it exists. We know we have a mind, we know we have intelligence, and we all have a false ego. Then finally, there is the spiritual body, which is the spirit soul. And the spirit soul is basically who we are. And it is different from everything else. It is spiritual fully, and the rest are all more material. And this is what we call ourselves. When we refer to I, that is a spirit soul. We don't refer to the body as like I hand. We say like my hand. So you are not like this body or like the hand or anything. So it's important to remember the different distinctions. One good analogy for this, so that you can understand it more better, is that you can see this computer right here. And in a computer, there are 2 different parts. One is the software and one is the hardware. The hardware is basically the external covering. It's basically just like metal, plastic. There isn't much else to it. But what is also more important is that there's the software inside. Without the software, the computer doesn't even work. Software is like the program that you're able to even use the computer on. The hardware is like the gross body, what you see on the outside, and the software is what's inside. You can't really like see it because it's inside, and so it helps run the computer. But what is most important, that without this, nothing else would work in the computer, is the battery and the power supply. Without the power supply and electricity, nothing would work. It's just like an empty computer, nothing would even, you can't use anything. So that's the soul. The power supply is the soul. So similarly, like in the body, if you just have a body and the subtle body, without the spiritual body, there's nothing. That's like when you die, the body is still there. That doesn't mean you are the body. And so that shows the transition of the spirit soul. That spirit soul is what is keeping us alive and running, is the power supply. So here is a study by Dr. Harry Monson, and he studied about the value of chemicals. So basically we know that the body is made out of like 60 or 70% water, and the rest of it is just a bunch of compounds like calcium, phosphate, potassium, sulfur, sodium, magnesium, and these are all like the stats which are in the body. And so he calculated the amount that it costs to have all of these elements is around like $9. So does that really mean we're worth $9? That's not true. The human body is priceless. We're not just worth $9. You can't. Everyone has like $9. You can't just go to a store and be like, "Can I buy a person?" Or you can't like make a person out of $9. So here it shows that you don't put your value in the gross body. That's not really who you are. You're something much more. And that is the spirit soul. So here now we're going back to the mind. So we're going to talk about the soul like in maybe future classes, but now the main topic is in the mind and the subtle body. So the mind, an analogy for the mind is that it may be like a sponge. So we all know like sponges, like if you've done like the dishes and all, use like a sponge to like clean. And so sponges, their main job is to store water. So it sucks up all the water and it keeps water in the sponge. And so when you squeeze the sponge, all the water just comes out. So that's all it does. It just holds in water, just like a storage house. So similarly, the mind is the storage house of thoughts, experiences, impressions, and desires. So the mind's job is to hold all these things. It doesn't really do anything else, just the storage house. And there are three functions in the mind. You should remember this. It doesn't do anything else other than these three functions. There's thinking, feeling, and desiring. So I'll give you some examples. See in this picture, you can see, can someone tell me what out of the three, which one he's doing?
Chess player?
That's one thing.
Batman skulls.
Okay, so what is he doing out of the three?
Thinking.
Thinking? That's correct.
Feeling or desires.
Just thinking for now. This next one. Which one out of three is he doing? What is he doing? He's feeling. Now finally, this one's a little difficult, but like, what do you think he's doing?
LeBron James. Bro.
What is he doing?
Desiring.
Yeah, he's desiring. He's desiring to win the game. It's like a buzzer beater, so he's trying to win the game. So these are the three functions of the mind. Now let's go on to the intelligence so we can understand the difference between the mind and intelligence. So the intelligence, just like the mind, has three different components. That's discrimination, decision making, and determination. So just like the mind had thinking, feeling, willing, this is discrimination, decision making, and determination. First one is discrimination. Intelligence's job is to understand what is correct and what's wrong. It's the intelligence that tells you when you're at a stop sign, if it's green, you're supposed to go. You don't, if your intelligence is badly trained, then maybe, as a kid, you may think that, the red means go or something, but that's just poor intelligence. But the intelligence job is to tell you what is correct and what's wrong. It's like this sign. Then there's decision making, which is gathering facts, brainstorming, pros and cons, deciding, following through, clarifying. It's like a long process. But the intelligence goes through this entire process just to make a single decision. So this is also very important to understand. Now finally, there's determination. So this is very important for the intelligence. It's a way that you can really train the intelligence to help you in a really nice way. Anyone know who this is?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. And he's really known for his Mamba mentality, his determination. So he really had that drive to be great at basketball. So he would be so determined that he would wake up earlier than all of his teammates and he would practice in the early morning. So by the time the practice actually happened, he would practice 1 or 2 hours. So he's a really good inspiration for being determined. And this is a fact of this is a function of the intelligence. So it's also possible for any one of us to train our intelligence in such a way to have the exact same determination. He's also human. Anyone else can do what he did too. Now let's show the two different between the mind and intelligence. The mind tells you what it feels like doing, and the intelligence tells you exactly what to do and what not to do. So the mind mostly is just feeling, but intelligence is what controls the mind and tells you what you actually need to do. So now if we want to relate everything together, here's a nice picture that shows how everything is interrelated. As you can see here, this is like a chariot, and there's different parts of this chariot. There's the horses first, there's the reins, then there's the driver, and then the passenger. So each one is analogous to different bodies. So the first one is the senses. The horses are just like the senses. As the horses, you can't really control them, but they always run amok. So they're like the senses that always just chase different things. Then there's the mind, which are the reins. And you see the reins have control of all the senses. And there are 5 horses, which are all the 5 senses. So the rein controls all 5 of these horses. And the person holding the rein is the driver. And the driver is this important person who is the intelligence. And so this intelligence is actually indirectly controlling the mind, which controls the senses. So the intelligence is very, very important. Now finally, we have the passenger. The passenger is the person all the way in the back. You can see. He's the person who is technically the soul, and the soul is us. So we are the passenger in this sense. So pretend you're in this situation. I know we don't really use chariots and horses nowadays, we just use cars, but pretend you're like this, and you want to go to one destination. You wanted to go home or something, and you're the passenger. And what if these horses just suddenly started running to different places? They were just so uncontrollable. And the person holding the reins, he had no strength. He was very weak. He's getting controlled by all the horses. So are you not going to feel frustrated? Because you're just going to be like roaming around. You're not going to be able to get home. So when this happens, that's when the soul always gets really frustrated. When the intelligence is not able to keep the mind in check. So what is the intelligence job? It has to keep the mind in check. Otherwise, we feel very frustrated. So why do we feel depressed? What is the main reason why we feel depressed? That's what I just said. The main reason why we feel depressed is because the senses are running wild. And when the senses are running wild, we get frustrated because we don't have control. We just want to go where we want to go. We want to have control. But if we don't have control, we can't really do anything about it. So now I'll tell you now in future slides and in later presentations how we can actually control the mind, which controls the senses. I'll give you an example of like a mind voice that happens when you're like having an exam or something. So pretend you're like the next day you have like a really big exam and you have to wake up and you have to study. So you're sleeping and the alarm goes off. Then your mind is like, the mind does the three functions. So it's like it's feeling something. It's feeling very tired. Usually that's what we feel. Like when we're about to wake up, we feel very tired. So the mind's telling us, it's like, I'm feeling very sleepy. I'm feeling very lazy. Can we just sleep a little more longer? But the intelligence, he knows what is right and wrong. The intelligence will say, you need to wake up right now, and you have to wake up and study. That's what the intelligence is saying. It's saying the correct thing. However, we all know, most of the time, we sometimes just click the snooze button. So who are we listening to? Mind? Yeah, so we're listening to the mind in that situation, and that's not a good thing. So what we need to do in that situation is that we need to be able to train the intelligence, so we listen to that intelligence instead. It's very dangerous if we keep listening to the mind. The mind doesn't always tell us what's right. Like in that situation, we might even like fail the test. That's really bad. So here are some takeaway points that show that I've just spoken so far. So the voice of the intelligence is very important. Why? Because it controls everything else. It controls the mind, it controls the senses. And we must listen to the voice of intelligence if we want to do the right thing. The intelligence is trained in such a way that it knows what is wrong from right. That's the discrimination component. And the intelligence must be empowered. Just like anything else, like a muscle they have to train, the intelligence must also be trained in the right way. It must be trained to know what is correct, what is wrong. So as a kid, you're always trained. So the intelligence is trained in such a way that it needs to have that determination, just like Kobe Bryant, how he trained so hard. It's because he trained the intelligence with the determination. And if you do not train intelligence, what happens is you lose your focus and purpose in life. And the horses go running everywhere and you have no control. So that means your future is very uncertain. So our job is a spirit soul and our passenger who really wants to go home. We really want to reach the destination of home. So our job is to be able to listen to the intelligence and take control of where our destination is. We want to go to the right place. So another analogy is that spiritual life is like an antivirus. So we know that like sometimes you go to websites and there's so many ads, and then sometimes you feel compelled to like touch one or you accidentally touch one, and those ads could just install just like a random virus, and then your computer's just gone. So then that small act of just touching an ad could just install a virus. So it's very dangerous. That's like listening to your senses. You just click the ad and it's gone. So spiritual life, if you practice spiritual life, then it's like installing an antivirus. So when you install an antivirus, you're not even able to see the ads, and you won't feel compelled to touch those ads. So by practicing this more and more, you're able to prevent yourself from following all the senses. I'll speak further more on how this is true, but now I'm just going to give you the general idea. So now back to this verse. I have a really nice story that really explains this verse more well. So in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam has many, many stories, and in the 10th canto it talks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. We all know Lord Krishna? So Lord Krishna is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was born in this very sacred place called Vrindavan. And nowadays Vrindavan is in the modern day of Uttar Pradesh. So you can always visit it when you want to. And many thousand years ago, it's like 5,000 years ago, in a different yuga, Lord Krishna appeared in this exact place. And Lord Krishna, just like any child, would play in the pastures of Vrindavan. Like many of us play different sports. Krishna would also play many sports. So he would have all his friends, and they're all called Gopas, which are coward boys. So he would all take them and play different sports, and he would have so much fun. Some sports that he would play is that like you play tag, you play hide and seek, you play games with balls, you play like basically like soccer. He would sometimes see animals like peacocks and different things like all that, and then he would just pretend to imitate them. So all his friends would imitate like a peacock, and whoever is like closest wins. So like that, all his friends would feel so happy. And while playing their games, Krishna would sometimes win and lose. It wouldn't really matter to Krishna whether he won or lost. Because why? Because Krishna, all he cared about was pleasing his friends. He just wanted his friends to be happy. How nice would it be if he had friends like that? And so even the friends of Krishna, they would also only play just to make Krishna happy. So that's like the difference between like him and us. Because usually when we're kids and we play, we would always get into many fights. I'm sure everyone's gone to like some fight, like trying to win. Usually that's what happens when we're kids. But why is that the case? We usually do that because we have this mentality that you want to be the controller. And when you have that mentality that you want to be the controller, then you want to win the game. Because winning the game usually means you feel happier. And if you lose, you don't feel as happy. So you always fight with the other person. And when you fight with that person, then both parties become sad. So that's the difference. And there's a verse, Ata Kumbhir Duja Shreshta Vanarshma Vibhagasta Swanishitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haridoshanam. The last line of the verse says that the goal of life, what really makes you happy, is to please Hari, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you please Krishna, since he's the proprietor of all, when he feels happy, then everyone else feels happy. So that's really the secret to happiness. Just have to please the Lord. So like this, they would have so much fun playing various different games. One day, Krishna wanted to play a different game. So he took all the Gopas and lined them up, just like when you're picking teams. He split the groups into 3 different groups. He took one group and put them to the side, and he told them that you guys are going to be playing the role of lambs. So lambs, like, like the animal, they just have to crawl. That's what their job is. Then he took the second group, and he said, this group, I'm going to make you guys thieves. Your job is to take these lambs and steal them. You can put them in a secret place. And then there's the policeman, who's the third group. And the third group needs to catch the thieves and save the lambs. So like this, all of them would have so much fun. And there'd be 3 different groups, they all have their respective functions. So they kept playing this game, and just like normal, the thieves would steal the lambs, and then the policemen would catch the thieves. And Krishna, he decided to play as the policeman. And that day, usually in Krishna's pastime, there's always like a twist. We always know there's so many like demons in Krishna's pastimes, because Krishna has this uncle, and he had this like divine like message that told him that Krishna was going to kill him. So then he wants to survive, so he wants to kill Krishna. That's his goal. So he just sends a bunch of demons all the time, while Krishna's just a kid. And this time, he sent a such demon called Vyumasur. And this demon is very, very powerful. And his original form is like a huge bat. And so, usually demons have many mystic powers. They can like shrink, they can like become bigger, they can do like a lot of stuff. So his power was to like shapeshift. So he shapeshifted into this thief. And so, like one of the thieves. So he was just pretending to be one of the boys and started playing. However, he had very ill intentions. So he snuck into the group, and slowly, one by one, he would find the lambs. Instead of just taking them to like a normal secret place and just putting them, he would take the lamb without their knowledge and just like, he would fly to a different like mountain, like a really far mountain. In Vrindavan, there's like different forests, and there's one forest called Kamyaman, and in that place, there's a mountain. And in that mountain, there's a cave. That cave is still existing to this day, and you can actually visit it if you want. It's still there. So what he would do is, he would take the lamb and put them, with the lamb which is the coward boy, he would take them and put them in this mountain, in this cave. It would be a very, very dark cave where you couldn't see anything. And he would take a boulder and close it. So like that, one by one, he took a bunch of Gopas, a bunch of coward friends, and he put them in this cave. And they were all just stuck in there. And they were all praying to Krishna to save them. And suddenly, there was only like 4 or 5 people left. And Krishna realized, being all-knowing, he knew that this demon was messing with all his friends. So then, he, just as a policeman does, he just went to this demon who was acting as a thief, and he just caught him. Because he was playing his game, he just caught him. Then the thief, he got very, very frightened, because he was standing in front of the Supreme Lord, face to face. He knew this was God himself. So he was feeling super scared. And Krishna could easily see this. And then he was trying to like pull himself out. Krishna was holding him super tightly. Because Krishna is all powerful. He's the strongest person. So even though he was a very powerful demon, he couldn't escape the grasp of Krishna. So then, he kept trying his hardest, kept trying, and he gave up. And he just immediately transformed to his original form. This is a picture from like the Little Krishna show. As you can see, this is like the demon Vyomasa. He's the bat. And so this huge person, you can see Krishna is single-handedly just holding him. And so Vyomasa is just like this mind. And so when you expose the mind doesn't just surrender unto you. The mind's always going to give you excuses. It's going to fight against you. So just like this, the mind just keeps running away. So even this is one verse in Bhagavad Gita. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamastiram tatastam niyametat atmanyeva nishameye. So in this verse it says, whenever and wherever the mind wanders due to flickering and unsteady nature, one must bring it under the control of the self. So this is what Krishna is doing. So as the mind is trying to leave, we must bring the mind back and put it under the control of the self. So Krishna, being all powerful, is able to fully take care of the mind. So just like this, he took this demon and he just smashed him to the ground. And when he smashed him to the ground, all his bones broke and he immediately died. So that is Krishna's power. He just immediately killed this demon in one shot.
Krishna Bhagavan ki
Jai. So now Krishna has to go save all his friends. So then he goes to this mountain and he's able to just lift this boulder and break it. And then he sees all his power friends and they're all just praying Krishna. And Krishna just saves them all. And they all just come out and they keep continuing their game. So it shows how Krishna always protects his devotees. And also the most important thing is that sometimes the mind, just like the verse I showed before, sometimes the mind can also act like your friend. It's always said that sometimes your greatest enemy may even be your friend. Who knows? Because there's some, we all know like spies are. Sometimes spies can always disrupt, sometimes spies can disrupt the whole country and cause the whole country to become ruined. So like this, we have to be very, very careful. Even sometimes, have you guys heard of Pearl Harbor? Pearl Harbor is like an event that took place in the US. And the US is one of the strongest countries. It has the strongest navy possible. It's basically the strongest. And so what happened was one day they were feeling very inattentive. And they couldn't believe that anybody could even even fight them. So what happened was Japan took this opportunity and they bombed Pearl Harbor. And at that day, it was very famous even now that there were so many people that so many the navy was fully destroyed at that time. And so this shows how even the strongest country, if they're inattentive for even a little bit, it can ruin the whole country. So just like that, we must be also very attentive. We should always be on guard for this mind and understand. It could even be acting as our friend, but it may be also our greatest enemy. So just like that, we should be very, very careful. So here is an example that shows how strong the mind is. So the mind looks like the elephant right here, and this elephant is 6 tons, and there's the rational intellect that is on top of the elephant. And so this person on top is we need to turn left and go to the gym. And that part looks very productive, discipline, growth, health, future. And this elephant was no, I want to stay right, watch TV, eat cookies, and sleep. That's what he wants to do. The intelligence knows that's not a good idea. I think this person is he's lazy. He's not working, he's not doing anything. He's not looking at his future. So it shows in Bhagavad Gita in the same chapter, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavatridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayir vasadushkaram. So it shows how the mind is very chanchalam, it's very restless, and it's very strong and obstinate. Since the mind is so strong, it's very, very difficult to control. Arjuna, Arjuna is one of the most powerful warriors. Arjuna had the capability to even control the wind. And he is saying that, oh Krishna, I can even control the wind, but I can't control his mind. How is that even possible? I'm sure none of us can control the wind. So I don't know if any of us are even powerful to control the mind. If Arjuna doesn't have a chance, then I don't think we have a chance. So it shows how really strong this mind is. It's like a normal person trying to control a whole elephant. And it's super duper heavy. But just like that, when we are hopeless, we need to take shelter of someone. And we'll see that later. So I'll give you guys some practical tips right now. And here is how to force the elephant to move. So the first tip is we need to be able to shrink the change. This is all taught in like psychological management, and so the first one is shrink the change. For example, if you want to study and you have to study for like 2 hours, instead of telling your mind, I need to go and study for 2 hours right now, can you please let me? Your mind's not really going to let you study for 2 hours. It's very difficult. Many people don't have the attention span for all this. But instead, if you tell the mind, I'm just going to go study for 2 minutes. Just let me study for 2 minutes. The mind's not going to say anything. He's going to let you study for 2 minutes. So when you start studying for 2 minutes, then automatically you're going to start for a little longer. That way you're kind of tricking the mind to at least let you start the activity. If you don't start the activity, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. This is one tip that I find also really helpful. The next one is changing the environment. I feel changing the environment is very important to what goes into the mind. Sometimes we have dedicated study spaces like desks and all, and sometimes if our desks are very, very cluttered, and there's random things across everywhere, we have junk food here, we have our phone sitting next to us, just many papers, then that same clutter kind of goes into our mind too. Then our mind also feels the same clutter. And if there's like a bag of chips, then you're gonna feel that temptation. You're gonna want to grab that chip and start eating it. And you're not gonna focus on your work. So it's important to clean your place, make it very neat, and put all your food away and just focus on your task. Whether you're watching a video or reading a book or something. So you should be exclusively doing that. The most important thing is probably your phone. Your phone is probably the worst thing out of everything. Because if you even pick up your phone and you open Instagram or any social media, you're going to be watching reels or some shorts for 4 hours. So that just wastes all your time. And then you have no time to do anything else. So just do yourself a favor and take your phone and put it in a different room. And just put it on Do Not Disturb. Just don't use your phone. Now the last technique is to shift your identity. And so sometimes when you put negative thoughts in your head, you sometimes believe those negative thoughts. And when you believe those negative thoughts, that's what your actions come. So instead of putting those negative thoughts, you should reinforce yourself with positive thoughts. Instead of saying, I'm trying to wake up early, say, I'm an early riser. So this is a growth mindset. And so by changing the sentence and you make it into your identity, then your mind will obviously help you do it. So the other one says, if you're trying to stop smoking or scrolling, you say, I'm not the kind of person who lets an algorithm control my brain. So in that way, when you make it your identity, your mind believes it, and it helps you. It helps you actually do what you want. These are the 3 tips that really help you. If you guys want to take a picture if you can, or just remember this, note it down in your head. I use all these tips and they really help. But for now, all these tips are actually temporary in a way. I have a much more permanent solution. So sometimes we have so much information. Right now, I've given you these 3 tips. But who knows if you're going to actually use these tips or not? We may see so many videos on YouTube that gives you all these psychological tips. We'll have so much things, so many techniques. But do we really use them? Sometimes we repeat the exact same mistake again and again. So we're in this endless cycle, even when we have the information. Why is this the cause? Problem isn't your lack of information or your lack of intelligence. The reason is your strong inner conditioning. As you can see, there's a big monster holding the person back. And this inner conditioning is all the conditioning that's happened throughout your entire life. And since you're so used to this habit, it's very, very difficult to get out of that habit. So when your strong inner conditioning is more stronger than the information outside of us, we're not able to change. So what we must do is to be able to change this strong inner conditioning and make it positive conditioning. What is the solution? We need to actually have real transformation. Without transformation, we can't actually make change. So transformation is a lot more different than motivation, a lot more higher. And so transformation requires purification. You must be able to purify yourself from within, which is much more better than any external tips or anything. When this happens, it's a permanent solution. Here it says information informs and purification transforms. So now I'll show you guys how we're able to even transform ourselves. So most programs focus on external habits. See, these habits are like time management, digital detoxing, which I said, like productivity hacks, all that. These are all external things. You have all the information. Sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't. And even if you use it, you can see here, it's just like cutting weeds. You all know the nature of weeds? Weeds are just even if you cut weeds, they still keep growing. So you're going to get this endless cycle of cutting the weeds. It's going to keep growing, you're going to keep cutting it. It's endless. These weeds are similar to anger, laziness, jealousy, lust, overthinking, addictions. So we understand that sometimes it does help to cut them so you can see that it's gone, but it's going to come back eventually. So we need to find a more permanent solution. As you can see, the more time that you let it keep going, the roots in your heart keep growing, and these are all called anarthas. And so all of these bad things, like these weeds, the roots keep growing, so it makes it even more and more difficult. So we're really in an urgent situation that we actually need to fix ourselves, and we need to be able to uproot the weeds. We don't just cut them, we have to uproot them from the bottom, take them out. So here's an analogy of how thoughts can transform into habits. These are some Sanskrit terms which are a little difficult, but that's why I have analogies in some English. So vritti is thoughts, and it's just like you're stepping into grass where there's a footprint, an imprint, and this imprint is very temporary. It can after some time it's going to go away, or it's there for some time. That's like your thoughts. Your thoughts come and go. You don't really think of it much, it's just there. But if you walk on the same trail again and again, and many people walk on the same trail, eventually you get a trail, as you can see right here. That's what really happens. And this is the vasana stage. When your thought becomes a vasana, when you keep dwelling in the same thought again and again, you walk the same steps, it turns into a desire. That's what vasana is. Then after that, it becomes into the samskara stage. Samskara stage is like a habit. That's when many people use a trail, and then people decide to create a whole road. And so when that whole road is created, that's a temporary thing. It's a permanent thing. You can't change it. So now, you're always going to use that way, that direction. And so now, you're kind of stuck with that. Whereas the previous one, where it's the vritti, the thought, it can go, but this samskara stage is very difficult to take out. You can't just remove the whole road. To use another analogy, whichever one helps you. But this one is writing, has to do with water. So it's if you touch water, it creates a ripple, very temporary. Or if you draw on sand, it's there for some time, but you can see it for a little bit longer. And then there's a samskara stage, which is a desire where it's you're writing on concrete. Personally, I like the left one, it's easy to understand, but whichever one works. So a passing thought can be very dangerous sometimes. That passing thought, keep dwelling on it, it can become very permanent and it can cause a lot of problems. So using a very important slide. So it's very important that we purify our thoughts. We're able to transform our desires and we have to reshape our future. So it all starts from purifying our thoughts. If we're able to purify our thoughts, then everything else becomes purified. So it says, cleanse the mind, purify the heart, and create a divine future. So here's an example which is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is, in the 9th canto, there is a very, very illustrious king. And this king's name was King Ambarish. And he ruled the earth many, many thousands of years ago. And he's recounted in Srimad Bhagavatam. And just like any king, kings have so many distractions. As when you're in power, it's very difficult to control your senses. We know modern politicians, many presidents, prime ministers, once you're in that power stage, you tend to abuse your power, you tend to use that for your senses. So it's very difficult to control your senses in that stage. There's so many distractions. But this king was very special. he was a very great devotee of the Lord. So, unlike other kings, he had full control over his senses and mind. And with full control, he was able to rule the kingdom very, very nicely. So, here's a verse that shows how he was able to do that. Savaivana Krishna Padara Vindayo Vacham Sivai Kunta Pranada Vardane Gaurahari Manjana Marjana Dishyu Shrutim Sakarachita Satkatodare Savaivana Krishna Padara Vindayo. He would place his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. He would always constantly be thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. So when you think of the lotus feet of the Lord, your mind doesn't have other things to think about. And you're always purifying your mind in that way. And it's not just his mind. He used all his senses, everything. Even his mouth, his tongue, everything was used in chanting the glories of the name. He used his hands in cleaning the temple and serving the Lord. And just like this, every single body part and every single sense object, he used in the service of the Lord. So just like his nose, he smelled the flowers of the Lord. With his ears, he heard the glories. So just like that, everything became purified. So it's not only about losing all your desires. It's about changing your desires to spiritual desires. So in that way, you're able to purify even yourself in the vritti stage, in your thought stage. So when you purify your thoughts, everything else becomes purified. And this is really the only way that you can actually undo all this inner conditioning. So how do we make right choices like King Ambarish? So you can see here, it starts from, you have a bad thought, a bad vritti, and it goes through the bottom stage, you keep thinking about it, and some scar. So, for example, if you think about a video game, you see a video game in the store, then you have a thought, maybe I can play this game. And then you get into that Shavasana state where you keep dwelling on it. It's like, I should have bought this game. I need to buy it. Next time I go to the store, I will buy this game. And so you keep dwelling on this and you develop a desire. When you develop this desire, the next time you go, you buy this game. And you keep playing it. Then you play the game and you're like, oh wow, this is so fun. I'm going to keep playing this game. And so you may or may not get addicted. So if you get addicted to that, then you get to that samskar stage and it becomes a habit. So even if you have something important to do, then you're going to be like, I think I need to play this video game. And if you play this video game, that's not a good habit because you're wasting your time. So that's the cycle. And once you get addicted, it's very difficult to get unaddicted. It's a lot of process. So then you kind of become like a failure. So you fall in the cycle of repeated addiction. So what did Ambarish Maharaj do? So by this way, we practice different parts of devotional service. Like here's chanting daily japa, there's reading. And so even in this program, in this Arbor program, daily they have chanting and reading for 15 minutes. So if you're able to join that, it would be very useful. As that way you can slowly put good information in your head and you put all your senses in Krishna. And that way, when you put your senses in a higher taste, you immediately lose the lower taste. Krishna you gain the most happiness by remembering Krishna, putting service in Krishna. And all other things that you use your senses for, they're considered as a lower taste. So obviously when you have a better meal, you don't want to have something less quality. So the higher quality always supersedes the lower quality. So it's better to always practice. So one thing that we all struggle with is procrastination. That's basically when you always delay tasks and you always say, I'm going to do this later, I'm going to do this later, and you don't end up doing it sometimes. And that's the main challenge. So external approach, we show the techniques. I'm sure everybody's heard about this. Everybody has the to-do, everybody knows you can have reminders, to-do lists. But I don't think I've ever even opened my reminders app. I've never even used it. So it's sometimes you know that you can use it, but you don't really use it. They're external approaches. They help to a certain extent, but there's a better way to fix it. The internal root cause of why we even procrastinate in the first place is because we feel this laziness. And there's also an attachment to comfort. So if you're sleeping in your bed, sometimes you just like that. It feels nice to sleep in your bed. And you don't want to get up. When you know that you have to get up and do something productive, but you don't get up. That's when you're attached to your comfort. That's when there's shreyas and prayas. Sometimes you're attached to temporary benefits. And you don't understand that there is a higher purpose sometimes. there is something more permanent. So it's like sometimes things can be like nectar in the beginning and then poison in the end, and sometimes good things for you are like poison in the beginning and then nectar in the end. So it's always better to understand what is like the permanent benefit. So what is the internal solution? It's important to have a disciplined life. So I personally think it's important to wake up like early and have like proper schedule, because see that like there are 3 modes: goodness, passion, ignorance, and the day itself is broken up into these 3 modes. The first is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and ignorance. It's like the morning, afternoon, night. And so in the morning, you have this impulse to do good things. You do spiritual things, you feel uplifted, and you feel nice. Passion is when you're like working, you do your schoolwork, you study, you do everything. That's really good for getting work done. You feel that passion. And then after that, you have ignorance. What are you going to do in ignorance? Kind of just sleep. You feel very drowsy, you feel lazy, you just procrastinate. But most people nowadays, it's like the trend to always like stay up. But the problem with this is, you're always extending your time in mode of ignorance. It's not like you can really do good things in mode of ignorance. Like, I know you can like study and all, but it's better to study in other times. There's also so many studies that's like, even if you study in the night, sometimes you don't retain it as well. It's better to do stuff in the morning and the evening. So by having a disciplined life, you're reducing this mode of ignorance, this nighttime, and you're increasing your mode of goodness. So when you increase your mode of goodness, you tend to do a lot more better things. That's one way that you can reduce your laziness. Laziness is prominent in the night. So reduce the nighttime. Like you can sleep at like 9, like 8, 9, and you can wake up at like 5. Well, you can try your best, whatever you can do. So, as we know, the soul is very pure, and sometimes, like, we may have so much difficulty. But that's not really the soul, because the soul is pure in essence. However, it's just like dust in a mirror. If you look at a mirror and it's very dusty, you can't really see the reflection. So you'll think you have the problems. But that's not really true. It's just a mirror that has the problems. So the mirror is like the mind and consciousness, and the dust is basically the inner dust. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and illusion. So all of this are like dust which cover the reflection. And when that happens, you're not able to see yourself like, properly. You're in the modern versions of dust. And this, many people can relate to, like endless scrolling, comparison, validation, fear of failure, all that stuff. And so these are all like dust. And we need to be able to clear this dust and have a much clearer picture. So, how do we transform? See, most people, you try to fight the symptoms. Like, see, if you go to a doctor, and the doctor, like, if you keep getting painkillers, like, all the time, it's not really good for you. They can do that if they want to. Just get a bunch of painkillers. If you have, like, cancer or something, you just have a painkiller. What's that going to do? There's an actual problem at hand. So the doctor's job is to be able to fix the root problem, so you don't have it again. He's not going to try to keep fixing your symptoms. So what you need to do is to be able to get it from the root. And the process of getting it from the root is purification by following spiritual process. It's not about suppression, escape, or non-belief. Because escaping the problem, you escape it, but the problem's going to keep coming back to you. When you escape it, it's not forever. So that's not really a good idea. It's all about purification. I have a nice example for this, where it's like a dirty glass of water. And pretend you have like a dirty glass of water, and you put it under like a tap of water. So slowly but surely, eventually all the dirty part of the water is going to rise up, and it's going to be filled with all clean water. That's like spiritual life. It's like you're putting that clean water from the top, and it's a very slow process. Sometimes people ask why like you're not feeling immediate change. But even if you do that here, you put the water, you're not going to see, like, it's not going to transform to like a clear glass. It takes time. Like, every moment, it's just dust coming out and clean water coming in. So it's about all that patience. But surely, you're going to eventually get that clear glass of water. And there's so many people that are there to prove this. Like, even His Grace SriGaurahari, like, after so many years of, like, practicing this very important spiritual activities, he's able to be like this clear glass of water after so many years. So it does take time, and we should be patient. So now I'll give you guys like like some acronyms that you can like have as like a takeaway on how we can have this purification. The first one is A. A is for association. So association is very, very important. Sometimes it's said that you are who you are with. And so usually like when you're with friends, you kind of get their like habits. Like when friends say like different like lingos, they have like their own words, you kind of develop them and you start saying them yourself. So suddenly you kind of change and be like them. So that's where it's important that you put yourself around like-minded people that have good values. So if you have people that have bad habits, like some people in high school, there's like lots of problems with like vaping and stuff. If you have friends that vape or like drink or something, then surely, but like eventually, they're gonna try to peer pressure you. And when they peer pressure you, you may or may not fall for it. And that's a very bad risk to take. So it's better you just don't be friends with that kind of people. So you don't end up being like that. You may think, oh, you're strong and all, but you don't want to even take the chance. Better to be with friends that are actually have good habits. And Srila Prabhupada gives like a really nice example of like an iron rod. Like an iron rod, when you place it in fire, eventually that iron rod will lose its property. It will be fired. It's just going to be fully fired eventually. So that's like when you're with friends. Like when you put yourself in that fire, eventually you're going to be like them. So if you're with people that are like that have really good values, you're going to get their values too. So here's some of the results of good association. Your discipline, purity, enthusiasm, your good habit, they all increase. But it's always good to have good association. So here's like a rhetorical question. So you can ask yourself, which one of these 5 are influencing you the most? Like your friends, Instagram, Netflix, office, well, not office, but like I guess school people or the devotees. People who have good values. So just think about this in your head. And if your answer is not like people with like good values or like devotees or anybody, then you may be taking influence from the wrong people. It's important you understand who you're taking influence from, who you're taking your guidance from. So here it says, choose your association and choose your destiny. Now on to B. This is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam reading. So these are like really important books. I'm sure many of you know Bhagavad Gita, which is like a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And within this conversation, they have so much nice like questions and answers, and you can learn so much from this. It's not just about the mind. The mind's a lot about talked about in like the 6th chapter, which I'm taking most of my verses from. But in other parts of the Gita, there's so many other different questions. Also like about the soul and all. I didn't talk much about the soul, but if you want to learn more, you can read this. It's also the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is a very, very special book. Because, does anyone know who actually wrote the Vedas? Vedas, Puranas, anyone know? Or the person, the name? Yes, that's correct. Vyasadeva. He's none other than the incarnation of Krishna as well. And he wrote the Vedas, and we all know Vedas are very important, Puranas, Upanishads. He's the same person who wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. However, he didn't write the Srimad Bhagavatam yet in his pastime. But first he wrote the Vedas, he split them, made 18 Puranas, made all the Upanishads, Veda, the Sutras, everything. And he was feeling a little dissatisfied. He felt that he didn't give the ultimate truth. He didn't give the essence of the Vedas. So he's feeling very dejected. And his teacher comes to him and he tells him what he's missing. He's missing about talking about the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna and Bhakti Yoga. He talks about all other different yogas like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. All these are different things like knowledge, activities. These work in a way, but the best way is Bhakti Yoga, which is practicing devotional service. So he writes the book Bhagavatam in his full maturity at the end of everything. So he himself says that this is the most important, it has the essence. Whether you read everything else or not, this is the most important. Bhagavatam is the best out of everything. So reading Bhagavatam is really, really helpful. So, as I said before, here in the Arbor program, they have everyday reading, and it's just 15 minutes. You can just take 15 minutes to read, and it's not going to be that hard. So that way, you're putting positive things within your mind. There's also many studies where it's exposure to the ideas rewire basic values, neuroplasticity. So it's just it's scientific too. It's really good reading. Reading is always good. Even as a kid, I'm sure your parents told you to always read. So it's always a good thing to read. Reading always puts information in your mind. Mind's like a sponge, right? The sponge keeps the information, and it teaches the intelligence what is good, what is bad. So if you put spiritual things, then you understand a lot more better. And this is able to replace all your material assumptions. So that way you think a lot more spiritually. So I promise you this will be a very good idea. It's good to start reading. Now finally, into C, we have chanting japa. So chanting japa is very important because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as you can see here, he came in this day and age as an incarnation of the personality of Godhead, and he came to preach this one way of reaching the Lord. And so what he would say is that in this day and age, it's very difficult to perform sacrifices, do austerities. I don't think any of us can stay on one leg for 2,000 years. In those day and age, they could live long and stuff. Now we can't do all that. But now he gave us a really easy way. And what he gave us is to chant this Maha Mantra. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Yavakevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gadhyanyata. He says that there's no other way in this age of Kali than to chant the Maha Mantra. I want all of you guys to repeat this mantra after me. So I'll say line by line and you guys can repeat after. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So this mantra is very, very important. The power of sound waves is very studied. It's studied a lot really well. And I know we always listen to music and stuff, but music has a very profound impact on people. That's why a lot of people listen to music. It affects their emotions, it affects their mental state, everything. But this is transcendental music. And this music, when it goes into your mind, is able to actually purify you. And you think about the Lord. When you think about the Lord and your mind is filled with the Lord, then eventually you come to Him. It says, Man manava man bhakta badhyaji mam namaskara mameva vishti satyam te pratijane priyasime. Krishna says, with his mind, always think of it, always worship Him, always offer homage to Him. And the Lord says, by doing this, He will surely come to you. He promises you this, as He says, you're my very dear friend. And so Krishna is saying, just think about me, that's all you have to do. You think about me, and everything will be fine. So this helps you a lot. Some results of this is that your mind becomes calmer, reactions become weaker, focus becomes stronger, purpose becomes clear, your happiness becomes deeper. These are all the importances of chanting. Now finally, the last one, this is the last one, D. So this is discipline your senses and diet. So discipline is like a filter where you prevent other bad things from coming. So discipline is like having a disciplined life. You wake up early. It's also like your diet in a way. So it's, you eat, what you eat is actually kind of like who you are in a day. So we all know, people that want to have a good body, a bodybuilder, they don't eat junk food because they know that food is not good for you. So similarly, there's also Krishna conscious food as well. So food cooked in good consciousness. Good to eat from your parents because your parents they have love within the food. That's why it always tastes sometimes better. You'll understand once you leave your house, you'll understand how nice your parents' food is. You don't really want college food. But you can really feel that consciousness within the food. So that's why it's very important when you have a disciplined life, so that other problems don't come in and doesn't affect your mind. Now we're all getting to conclusion. And the main point is that real change happens from within. It's not about external things, not about external tips. They help to a certain extent. But the real thing is we need to upward the weeds. You need to change yourself from within. You need to change that strong inner conditioning completely. And when you're able to do that, then you're fully purified as a permanent solution. That's the best part. And you have to clean the mirror from all the dust, all those nerve dust. And once you do that, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions become healthier, relationships improve, service becomes visible, Krishna becomes meaningful. So the greatest revolution is not outside but inside. Important to always try to fix yourself from the inside. So that's all I have for today, and I hope you're able to have some takeaway. But I want to ask, do you guys remember the ABCD?
Yeah.
What does A stand for? Okay, what does G stand for? finally, D. Correct. So I want you guys to remember this and try to apply this. This process 100% works. I've been practicing like chanting and everything for so many years, and I can see like there is a great change. I know for sure. And there's so much different than sannyasis doing as spiritual master. His mind is perfectly like clear. Like you can see people like that have full control of their mind. So this process 100% works. So thank you all so much for being attentive and paying attention. So that's it for today.
Questions?
Do you guys have any questions?
Anyone want to ask any question?
You guys understood everything?
Any parents want to ask anything? Or? That's fine.
Thank you guys very much.
So, Haribol, it was a great lecture, enlightening. Thanks a lot. But the question is, outside world is completely different. So, to go to high school, they might say that, hey, you are out of hand, you are backward, something like that. So, how you deal with external purpose? Because what we think is away from the crowd, is what is right. But we have to be you need to have friends, you need to go to the parties or whatever. So how do you expertly manage outside world?
So there isn't really anything wrong with being in like the outside world, as everyone has to do this. But it's important that you also spend time for your spiritual life. You don't have so much free time. So like in the morning, when you're not doing other things, if you have that spiritual practice, you're able to actually like imbibe that and you keep it. And also it's about your association too. If you have people that go to too many parties, sometimes people don't do good things at parties. So you might want to have like friends that do better stuff. So there's nothing wrong, like you can, like it's very good to have good education and everything, very important. You should be in contact, but also try to offer all your results to the Lord. You can understand why you're studying, why you're doing everything. You should offer everything to the Lord and understand that everything comes from Him anyway, we're just offering it to Him. So did I answer the question?
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to share? Thank you, SriGaurahari. That was very wonderful. You may take a seat. And dear all, thank
Yeah.
We say three Haribol.
Three Haribol
yes,
for
three
Gaurahari.
Haribol to Gaurahari.
Haribol, 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 Haribol.
Thank you all. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you. This is a very, very important juncture, and I'm sure this will be an important milestone in your life. Honestly, all of you are the real future, right? So when you are able to control your mind and apply whatever is being told, that is going to keep your life straight as well as will be very beneficial for the entire community. So we are going to have 3 series. This is the first one. Next weekend, next Saturday, we are going to have the second part. That's about friends. FOMO. You know what is FOMO is?
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. And also about how we can true to be ourselves. So it's going to be a very interesting topic next week. We will have 2 other young ladies. They will be presenting. Champakavalli and Radha Vilasini. They will be coming. Both are senior in high school. And SriGaurahari just graduated from high school. He's going to be a doctor. He's in the direct medical program. The other 2, they are senior in high school. So they will be presenting. The third week will be done by a student, university student. He is junior in university. He is doing this, I guess, IT engineering. Yes. So these 3 are series. So I request all of you to please come and attend these 3 sessions. It will be very helpful for you. And we also have our weekly programs. And tomorrow we are meeting at the Leslie Park. How many of you know where the Leslie Park is? Right? We are going to have a lot of fun. It's like a picnic. So if you can come.
Lily Park.
Did I say Leslie? Oh, I'm sorry. South Lily Park. Yes, Swati Mataji, she can give you the exact address, not Leslie, Lily Park, South. Yes, that's the place where Rath Yatra happened. And we are going to have a small picnic, some games, and also some small session. And then, of course, wonderful prasad. So, very request all of you, please participate. It's going to be really nice. Again, children, I know initially it may sound, why should I do this? And you may have a lot of questions, but we are here to help. Please ask and we will help. Okay? And we have a lot of examples. We have Shlok. Shlok is also in high school. He's going to be senior, junior, going to be senior. Going to junior, yes. And Dash going to senior. So many and our other, they're all practicing and they're very happy. So now I hand over to Shlok to make this conclusion. Thank you, Shlok, for very nicely. Shlok, along with his team, he has very nicely organized the entire thing. Thank you. We also want to thank Swati Mataji, Rahul Prabhu, and amazing Sia for taking care of everything and making amazing feast for all of us. Thank you, Mataji.
Another thanks to Gaurahari Das Prabhu for being here. He was again a very nice role model. Even for myself, I've taken a lot from this lesson and I hope to apply it in my life. I've grown a lot in ISKCON over the past year as well, and these teachings have really helped me become a better student and a better member in society overall, and I hope that you guys can also take something from this. And again, as Prabhu over here said, we have 2 more weeks, next week and the week after, and I hope that everybody can also be there for those sessions. And we're going to go ahead with prasadam now, and feel free to grab it. Oh. We'll do a mantra before eating. Yeah. Do the Mahaprasad prayer.